Hello. Hello, welcome. This is the global community for adults who are healing CPTSD. My name is Athena, and I am going to facilitate our time together tonight. So thank you. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for choosing to click on this resource if you're watching this on a replay or listening to this on a replay. I want to thank you for your presence in our community. Your presence is felt and valued, even if you're not able to be here with us during our weekly discussions. Each and every one of you who chooses to click on these videos, listen to them, add them to playlists, share them, or simply come back to them. It is because of you that this channel exists. And thank you especially if you decide to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Something as simple as voting on a video or voting on a replay. If you vote thumbs up or thumbs down, this lets YouTube know whether or not what we are offering is helpful and supportive or of value. And a very special thank you to our Blue Wrench crew, our moderators, John Harvey, Ninja Taco. Occasionally we'll see Kira or Vi. We especially appreciate the fact that you keep our chat stream a safe enough place for our community members to come and feel seen and heard and valued and understood, all within the context of safety. So thank you. Thank you, John Harvey. And lastly, I will let you know that this YouTube channel is made possible not only by you, but especially you who choose to join us away from social media. We have a growing community of thousands of us who are all healing together in community. And it is because of the Foundation for Post-Traumatic Healing and Complex Trauma Research that we are able to have this YouTube channel. And it's especially because of those of you who choose to join us. We offer groups like this twice a day, every day. And on the weekends, we have yoga and book club and creative group, and it really is just such a beautiful thing. Being here with you every week is really special for me. So we've been doing this and meeting up here on YouTube once a week for almost 11 years now. Next month, it'll be 11 years. Can you believe that? I see so many familiar faces. Hello. Happy birthday, Jen. I'm going to go say hi to everyone. But I just want to let you know there is a link if you do want to join us away from social media. We would love to warmly welcome you. There's a link in the description section of this video and also in the pinned comment in the chat box. And I will place a link in the chat box for you. And now I would love to just say hello before we get started on our weekly discussion on Pete Walker's most recent book titled Holistically Treating Complex PTSD, a Six-Dimensional Approach. We are talking this week about how you and I are going to begin facilitating emotional repair and development. So emotional repair and development, what that looks like is we sit with big feelings that come up for us. And sometimes we numb stuff and avoid those feelings instead of sitting with them. And what this does is it shows up in our lives when we want to leave the apartment, leave our home, go for a walk, maybe go to the bank or go to the market or walk our pet, or meet up with friends, or possibly date, or have a conversation with our partner, or have friendships, or go to a meetup group or something. And what ends up happening is because of the blueprint that we were shown when we were children, our emotional capability of showing up for ourselves and showing up in ways that work for everyone involved, that's our friendships, our partners, our bosses, our colleagues, our loved ones, our acquaintances, our neighbors. What it means is that we struggle to show up in ways that work. We struggle to do what everybody else is doing or the things that we wish we could do. We struggle to do those things well or in ways that we enjoy or that are working well for everyone involved. And so what that means is we struggle in interpersonal relationships. So our topic this week is facilitating emotional repair and development. And we're just going to talk about it together. And we're going together, you and I, we are going to facilitate or begin facilitating emotional repair and development as discussed in Pete's most recent book, beginning on page 252 for those of you who have the book. And before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and say hello to everyone. Hello to you, Jen. Happy birthday. Hello, Craig. I'm sending you hugs right back. Hello, brave Vanessa. I think I might be meeting you for the very first time. It is lovely to have you with us. Welcome to the family. This is our friendly family of choice, and you are warmly welcome with us. We're here every week, and we have been for almost 11 years. So welcome, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Oh, brave Vanessa says, I don't have Pete Walker's newest book. You know what? That's okay. You can come here and we can talk about it. Or I know I've been sort of stalking different books on Amazon, and occasionally they'll have some sort of weird like 33% off or something. And then I'll just like snag it. I have like a reminder. I put it on a list and put a little heart. So if that's something you're interested in, or I actually was at a local library recently where I live here, and they had a copy of his new book with a little plastic cover over the edges, and it was really, really exciting. I don't know if somebody donated it, but it was really wonderful to see that they had his most recent book, because it did just get published a few months ago. Jen says, my birthday gift to myself is being here with my family. We're so glad you're here, Jen. You have lots of happy birthdays in the chat box for you. Hello, Kitty. I'm waving back to you. You're so welcome, John Harvey. More happy birthdays for you in the chat box, Jen. And of course, John Harvey has brought you cake. And it looks like John Harvey has brought enough cake for everyone. So I thank you, John Harvey, for the cake. I will absolutely partake. Kate, hello. Welcome, welcome. Hello to you, family. And Kate's wishing you a happy birthday as well. Hello, Midnight Blue. Hello, Candida. Hello, Jeffrey Sherman. So good to see you. Ooh, and John Harvey is having a Starbucks mocha frappuccino with his cake. Oh, hello, Jaime St. James. And Jeffrey Sherman says, Jaime St. James, is your name pronounced like Spanish, like Jaime, or English, like Jamie? Like, is it Jamie St. James or is it Jaime St. James? Great question. We warmly welcome you. I think I said Jamie St. James last week, so I might have said it wrong. I have a feeling it's Jamie St. James, but who am I? Like, I have no idea. So thank you for asking the question, Jeffrey Sherman. I always appreciate you, and I appreciate each of you. So let me know how you're doing in the chat box. Oh, Jamie says, it's like Jamie. I'm a watcher from years ago. Well, welcome back. I did see you here last week, or was it the week before? I've seen you recently, I know that for sure. So I'm really glad to have you here, as always, Jamie. And I'm excited to dig into to our topic tonight and spend some extra time. So I would love to know how you're doing. Brave Vanessa says, I'm doing okay. I'm glad you're doing okay. Hand on my heart, grateful you're here. And if anyone wants to share how they're doing, Jen is cutting her birthday cake for everyone and handing out all the pieces for every single one of us. Thank you very much. Can I have a tiny sliver, please? Because I'm watching my girlish figure. Kitty. Oh, Kitty says I've been struggling. I'm so sorry, Kitty. My hand is on my heart. I'm usually driving the struggle bus, but the good news is when I'm driving the struggle bus, I'm on the struggle bus with you and I bring snacks. Usually salty snacks to go along with the sweets that John Harvey brings. So we got some sweet snacks and some salty snacks and we're all on the struggle bus together. I've been taking extra gentle care of myself lately, just lots of different work responsibilities and so it's been a lot, but I'm hanging in there. Thank you all for checking in and let me know how you're doing. Jeffrey Sherman says, welcome back. Yes, you're the one who asked, have you been streaming all these years? Yes. I have been. Yes, way back to Trauma Recovery University. Yes, Kitty, all the snacks. Midnight Blue says, I'm hanging in there. I'm glad you're hanging in there, Midnight Blue. Thank you for being here. Candida's tired, but for good reason, because Candida went hiking and had a picnic with her husband and family this week, and they are celebrating their daughter's birthday. Happy birthday to your daughter, Candida, and I'm glad that you got to have a picnic and a hike. I love that for you. Jamie says, thank you, Jeffrey Sherman. Yes, I have no clue how I've missed it all these years because I've been subscribed the whole time. You know what? It's not you, Jamie. It's the interwebs. It's the peoples over at the YouTubes. But that's okay. We're glad you're here. Somehow we made it back into your algo. And welcome back. We hope to have you and keep you here for as long as you would love to be here. And you know what? The cool thing is you get to take the best and leave the rest. If it's helpful, supportive, great. If not, right? You just get to skip it, right? Yes, I collaborated with Bobby a lot way back in 2014 and 15. Yes, and early 2016. I think it was mid to late 2014 and all of 2015, and I think maybe for a couple weeks in 2016. Yes. Gosh, that was way back, OG days. Look at you. Jeffrey Sherman says, if I gotta be on the struggle bus, that is the best case scenario. I'm in good hands if Mom Athena is at the helm. Thank you, Jeffrey Sherman. And just so you know, Jeffrey, if you are ever off the struggle bus, it's all good. It's all good. I would almost much prefer to be driving the struggle bus by myself, because then I know that every single one of you is doing well. And I will be scooping you up and swinging back around to see how you're doing. It's all good. Because sometimes if I'm driving the struggle bus, I'm not as struggle busing. Like I'm busy handing out snacks and making sure that we get wherever we're going. So Brave Vanessa says, I am struggling with a lack of motivation to do anything. That's okay. That's okay, Brave Vanessa. We see you. We honor you. We honor your journey and your process. You know, I've been learning a lot about the 4 F's as I've been going through Pete Walker's this book that we're going through right now. And he talks about everyday different little struggles that we have every single day, like lack of motivation or like what it looks like when we're in one of the 4 F's. And sometimes when I'm lacking motivation, I'm actually in the midst of a freeze trauma response and I didn't even know it. So then if I'm struggling with a lack of motivation, what I've started doing, because I've been mapping my CPTSD over the last few years, is I check in with myself and I ask myself, did I have some sort of a trigger? Am I in an emotional flashback? I wonder if I am. Because for those of us who struggle with chronic complex PTSD, if we're not in like horrific emotional pain or physical pain, like mild pain just sort of floats on by and we don't even realize we're struggling. So we can be struggling with what seems like no big deal, or like, oh gosh, I'm just lacking motivation, or why can't I clean my kitchen? Like I've been wanting to clean the kitchen for like 4 days. And I've been checking in with myself and going, gosh, I wonder if I'm in the midst of some sort of emotional flashback. And sure enough, depending on my symptomatology that I sort of cross-reference in his book, I'm like, wow, you know what? I think I was, and I think I know what the trigger might have been. Wild. Like self-awareness for the win, right? Like it's blowing my mind that after studying this stuff every single day of my life for like, I don't know, 11 years, 12 years, almost 12 years. It's wild that I can discover new things about my own process and become more self-aware of my own process and my healing. So just know that we're all in this together. We're healing beside one another, and we'll get there. There's no way we can do this wrong. If we're showing up for ourselves, it means that we're doing it right. And that means that the symptoms that we're experiencing are going to decrease in prevalence and intensity the more often we show up for ourselves. And the reason I know that to be true is because when we show up for ourselves, as often as we do, it is the antithesis of self-abandonment. And self-abandonment is what we participate in if we had any less than loving caregivers when we were growing up, or if abandonment was modeled for us, or if we were abandoned, either seemingly or actually. Then what we do is we end up self-abandoning, and we sort of acquiesce or twist ourselves into a pretzel and do whatever it is we need to do to survive. And the most incredible thing about showing up for ourselves on a daily basis, even if it's just for a couple minutes a day, every day, as long as we are showing up for ourselves, and it's even better if we're doing so in the company of others who are on a similar journey, which is why the power of community is so, powerful, because other people reflect back to you that you are showing up for yourself. And the moment you notice and it's reflected back to you that you're not self-abandoning, it's almost like a self-fulfilling feedback loop. So the more often we show up for ourselves, we cancel out the effects of abandonment and self-abandonment. And just showing up ends up being like muscle memory. It's one rep. Every single time we show up for ourselves, it's another rep. And we all know that if we're trying to build muscle memory, it's not going to the gym once a week. It's actually showing up for a few minutes a day, every day, and doing the small things consistently and reliably. So that's the beauty of us getting together here once a week, or if you join us off of social media every single day, twice a day. It takes away the barrier to entry, the possibility that you won't show up for yourself, because you already have it built in as a habit when you're surrounded by others who are doing the same thing. It's very encouraging. So, struggling with a lack of motivation, which is where I started on this entire sort of rant and share that I'm having here. Thank you for sharing that, Brave Vanessa, because I've been noticing that every single time I am struggling with a lack of motivation, if I do one thing that is beneficial for my own healing journey, or something that is helpful and supportive for me, uniquely me, my journey, then that is one step, right? It's incremental. Then doing something for myself in a way that's helpful and supportive gets easier and easier and more possible as the day goes on. And then doing it the next day, you know? So it's little wins, and celebrating our little wins trains our brain to look for positive outcomes. And what we are looking for with healing CPTSD is an improved outcome. So, yeah, really, really, really grateful you brought that up. It's huge. Hello, Lisa Marie. Thank you for your comment on our on the video last week. We missed you, but I'm so glad you were here like 1 hour later. Welcome, welcome. So glad you're here. Hello, Ninja Taco. So great to see you, recovery buddy. Yes, brave Vanessa. I do hold my breath unconsciously. I love it when my meditation teacher that I listen to on Insight Timer says, make sure you're breathing. I'm like, wow, how did he know I wasn't breathing? Ninja Taco holds his breath too. I think a lot of us do, because we're so dissociated from our bodies for like decades at a time. We don't even realize we're doing it. Yes, Midnight Blue says they do it every day. Yeah, Candida says, sometimes my muscles get really tense when I do, or if it's really bad, I hyperventilate. Same. Yes, Jeffrey Sherman, absolutely. Jeffrey says, we were raised in the Arctic, so freeze is almost all we know. Absolutely. I'm a freeze fawn, usually, unless it's something to do with a loved one, and then I'm like a freeze fight. And if I'm around like safe enough people, but I'm unsure if they're actually safe enough, or my body decides that they're not actually safe enough, I'm a freeze flee. It's interesting. Kitty says, I wonder how many more reps I need to do to stop my constant worrying. You know, Kitty, if you ever figure that out, will you please let me know so that I can hurry up and do all my reps? I'll just rep it out like right now. I'll like drop and give you 100, drop and give you 20. I will do however many reps. I'll do it now. Let me know if you figure it all out, because man, I'm consistent though. I'm consistently and reliably showing up for myself. You know, it's like seriously something that I absolutely needed. I needed to do, right? So, yeah. Oh, my chat box is frozen. Dang it. Well, that must mean that it's time for me to begin sharing with you our text that we're going to describe this week and we're going to talk about this week. Let's see here. So you and I tonight are going to discuss facilitating emotional repair and development. And as I was mentioning about 20 minutes ago or so when we very first started, is the way this shows up is when we find ourselves in relationship with other people, whether it's acquaintances or bosses, colleagues, friends, loved ones, our partner, our besties, like people we run into if we're at a meetup group or a walking club or whatever it might be, right? We end up behaving in ways that we wish we wouldn't. So we're going to talk about that tonight. And you and I together are going to sit with it, and we're going to put the wheels in motion to move in a direction where we do that less often. And we begin to show up in ways that work. How's that sound? So I'm going to get a sip of water. And then I just want to make sure you all can still hear me, because I need to get a sip of water, and I'm having some back pain. I just want to make sure you can still hear me. Can you still hear me over here if I'm talking like this, or do I need to be closer? And perhaps I can edit the volume if the volume isn't good. So just let me know if you can still hear me. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay, so let me just I'm going to get another sip of water and then we will begin. Okay, so for those of us who have this book, then that's great. But guess what? You don't need the book. You don't need the book. We can have this discussion and you don't have to go out and get the book. And like I was saying a little while ago, check your local library first, or that app, I think it's called Libby, where you can just check it out for free if you can't afford the book, okay? But I think I got this on Amazon and it was 33% off because they have like flash sales occasionally. So here we go. We are beginning on page 252, and I'm gonna read, pause, discuss, as per usual. And if I can get my chat box unfrozen, I'll go ahead and check in on you in a little while. But please, let's just pause and just take a breath together so we can approach what Pete Walker has to say here with openness and curiosity, because if I've learned anything about this man over the years, is he truly cares, and he walks his talk. He really cares about the humans that read his books and that are doing their absolute best to heal, because he has been healing his own complex PTSD for decades. He walks his talk. So let's just take a slow breath together and then we'll go ahead and we'll read together. Beautiful. Here we go. Chapter 8, page 252, Facilitating Emotional Repair and Development. Therapists, and those of us who are here together, greatly aid survivors' recovery when they help them to reawaken and develop all of the faculties of their inherent emotional neglect. A pivotal pinnacle is reached when therapists, or those of us who are reading this together in community with one another, when we rediscover and practice the 4 vital processes of grieving. Now, I know someone here in our community is going to mention that this was mentioned in his other book, Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving, and I would say, yes, you're absolutely right. That is so astute. And what's also true is there's some extra additional text and footnotes that are added in, and I'm very excited for us to talk about them together. So Pete goes on to say, survivors progress greatly in their recovery when they become proficient at metabolizing their pain by crying, or angering, or verbally venting out and feeling through the ache of their childhood neglect and abuse. Their EQ, or emotional quotient, steadily increases as they recover these instincts for releasing their past and present pain and suffering. These practices create in them an ever-growing emotional intelligence that bestows a flair for accepting and valuing all of their feelings. High EQ, or emotional quotient, is crucial for those recovering from complex trauma in order to establish healthy relationships with others and with themselves. As we survivors learn to grieve out the pain of our childhood losses through crying, angering, verbally venting, and feeling through them, we become increasingly proficient at effectively managing our emotional flashbacks. Pete says, I see many survivors who actually grieve enough to overcome their fear of getting hurt again and open to truly intimate friendships and relationships. I believe this occurs because they know experientially that they can grieve and they can digest the loss of a relationship if they have the misfortune of losing it. This chapter, chapter 8, pragmatically guides us to effectively release our huge reservoirs of unprocessed childhood emotional pain through grieving, to the degree that we effectively grieve, we relink with and reclaim our crucial innate instincts of self-compassion and self-protection. And as we relearn how to cry and anger out our past and current pain, our emotional flashbacks decrease in frequency, intensity, and duration. I'm going to pause right there and I'm going to tell each and every one of you, please don't miss this. Okay? This last sentence here that I just read to you is 100% true. If we are willing to relearn how to cry and anger about our past and current pain, our emotional flashbacks decrease in frequency, intensity, and duration. I'm going to read that one more time because someone here needs to hear this. If you are struggling with emotional flashbacks and your whole life is a dumpster fire shit show the way mine was, I'm going to read this again one last time. As we do the hard work of relearning how to cry and anger about our past and current pain, our emotional flashbacks decrease in frequency, intensity, and duration. Full stop. Not maybe, they do. Now, I can't promise you much because that wouldn't be ethical. But guess what? That's a promise that I can make to you. I can look each and every one of you right now, and I can tell you that if we do the hard work of relearning how to cry and anger and vent out our pain in safe ways that do not harm ourselves or others, and we do this as it relates to our past and current pain, our emotional flashbacks decrease in frequency, intensity, and duration. Period. They just do. And I don't know about you, but that was a game changer for me. And it's worth it. It's hard, but it's worth it. I'm going to continue on now in the chapter. We are further going to be supporting ourselves here together in this space that we have co-created over the last almost 11 years. We are going to support our grieving prowess, and we are going to increase our EQ, our emotional quotient, by identifying and letting go of our no longer needed salvation fantasies. That's ouchy. I know that hurts. Each and every one of us has a salvation fantasy. It is literally in the diagnostic criteria for complex PTSD. One of the symptoms, like the symptomatology that breaks it down, is the endless search for a rescuer. So if you've never yet had a salvation fantasy where someone comes along and finally rescues you from all of this pain you've been in, then don't worry, it will come. As you grieve, the salvation fantasy, even if it's just for a moment, it will cross your mind. Okay? We are going to identify the salvation fantasy, and then we are going to let go of it. Because as Pete Walker says here on page 253, we don't need that salvation fantasy anymore. We can hold on to it though for as long as we need it. And as soon as we decide that we don't need it, then we can let it go. But you get to hold on to that salvation fantasy for as long as you need it. No one gets to tell you to let it go or get rid of it. You are the only one that gets to decide when to let that fantasy go. You are the only one. For me, it took over a decade. And that was showing up for myself every single day. So if it's taken you a while, please do not grow weary. Just know that you're not alone. Okay? Pete says it is especially therapeutic for us to relinquish the salvation fantasy that a human being can feel good and happy and loving all the time. I'm going to read that again. It is especially therapeutic for us to relinquish the salvation fantasy that we can feel good and happy and loving all the time. That is a fantasy. There's no human on earth that feels good and happy and loving all the time. Okay? It's okay if we don't. Everybody has ups and downs. Pete says this is an especially harmful belief because it is impossible to achieve. And even worse, the recurring disappointment of failing to feel up and happy and good all the time causes painful flashbacks into self-contempt and into social anxiety. So letting go of this understandable but unattainable quest is key to the theme of recovery that is explored throughout this book. Next section, page 253, we're still facilitating emotional repair and development, but this is on the topic of emotional nurturance. Okay? Picture, if you will, our the stark contrast of the family of origin, or as one of my clients calls them, the FOO, the FOO, the family of origin, and then the stark contrast to the family, what we have co-created here, a friendly family of choice. Okay? Emotional nurturance in a healthy enough family. Pete shares here a visual, okay? He says, here is a sketch of healthy parenting practices that enhance children's emotional functioning. We can use this material to shape and revive the arrested development in our EQ, or our emotional quotient. Good enough parents instinctively provide generous amounts of interaction, just like we do here, love, warmth, tenderness, and compassion. The good enough parent regularly laughs with their children. They honor their tears as a way of releasing hurt. They help their children to identify and avoid sources of hurt. They stand up for them when needed. That's the mama bear right there. And they guide them to protect themselves from hurtful people. Emotionally intelligent caretakers welcome and value the non-abusive expression of all emotions. The good enough parent normalizes fear and depression, potentially, The good enough parent normalizes fear and depression as potentially helpful signals that something is or might be awry. The good enough parent also encourages and models verbal venting about difficulties and disappointments to teach their children how to handle and work through problems and painful moods. High EQ parents, the good enough parents, and caregivers and helping professionals like therapists also model and encourage anger as a just response to unfairness. They teach and model safe ways to express and release that anger that do not hurt themselves or anyone else. This is unless they have to fight back or to defend themselves from attack. Loving parents also teach and model that, like the weather, our feeling states normally shift unpredictably between pleasant and unpleasant, happy and sad, loving and lonely, enthused and bored. And with guidance, children learn that verbally venting about these normal but upsetting shifts can process and digest them, as well as teach them about other possible causes of shifting moods and emotions. Just as importantly, emotionally savvy parents, the good enough parents, also affirm and demonstrate that ambivalence is a normal, recurring experience of life. Now, sadly, in Western culture, ambivalence has somehow come to mean dislike, as opposed to vacillating between feelings of like and dislike, ambivalating. Pete says here on the bottom of page 254, he says, ambivalating is a term I coined to name the very normal shifting of responses between opposing emotional polarities. It is emotionally intelligent to accept that we sometimes vacillate between liking and disliking a relationship, or a job, or an activity, and innumerable other life experiences. We empower ourselves to alleviate the potentially painful ambivalence by encouraging ourselves as survivors to verbally vent about it. We can help ourselves see that it is also normal to simultaneously have and show contradictory feelings. These types of things are often powerfully transformative in the process of healing. In chapter 3 of this book, back up. It's not chapter 3 of this book. Pete says, in chapter 3 of The Tao of Fully Feeling, there's much more to say about emotionally intelligent ambivalence. And you know what? I think we should probably read that together at some point, because I really feel like so many of us, we get triggered by ambivalence because it can be confused with or misconstrued as incongruence, or if it was weaponized. So if you grew up in a narcissistically abusive home, then you know that hot and cold is the name of the game. It's up and it's down. It's hot and it's cold. Sometimes multiple times a day, every day. Sometimes that's your existence for multiple decades. And if that's the case, it feels like the rug is being ripped out from underneath you. And therefore you're in a constant state of hypervigilance and anxiety, particularly social anxiety, because you're literally on high alert thinking that every human in the world is going to be hot, cold, up, down. And that can cause a level of jumpiness and hypervigilance and anxiety that can become chronic. And it can cause you to isolate because you feel like a weirdo when you're around humans, wondering, waiting for the other shoe to drop. They're being nice to me. What do they want from me? They're going to switch any second now, right? If that's you, by the way, I'm doing, I know I'm interrupting our reading tonight, but I'm going to post a link to our community one more time. And I'm doing that because I'm hosting an event, and it's invitation only for our community members away from social media. And it's 2 weeks from tomorrow, and it's on July 29th. And it's invite only, and I'm putting a link in the chat box. So it's for adults who were raised by narcissistically abusive parents. So anyway, I digress. I think what Pete Walker is saying here on the bottom of page 254 about healthy, emotionally intelligent ambivalence, I really think this was when the light bulb came on for me, that part of being human is we get to change our minds 100 times a day, every day, for as long as we live, because we're sentient beings. And it doesn't mean there's something wrong with us. There's a difference between someone who is, in a healthy way, able to handle highs and lows, hots and colds, etc., and someone who is triggered by it. And I think until we grieve that we didn't have solid ground, or as Patrick Tehan calls it, a safe home base, if we don't grieve that we didn't have that, then we don't have access to all of our feelings and emotions that are understandably confusing and overwhelming. And so we avoid them. And when we avoid them, we end up isolating, and then we don't have healthy connections. And without healthy connections, we cannot heal our CPTSD. And we cannot live lives that are healthy and connected and safe enough and good enough and full, and lives that we enjoy instead of dreading. This is so common. This consistent, constant sense of dread is across the board common with adults who were raised by narcissistically abusive parents. It's not you. This isn't anything you've done wrong. There is a huge difference between emotionally intelligent ambivalence and someone who weaponizes incongruence. Weaponized incongruence is manipulative, and it keeps the target off balance. They're in a constant state of hypervigilance and anxiety, and they're willing to do whatever you want them to do because they don't know which way is up or down. Weaponized incongruence is not the same as emotionally intelligent ambivalence. I really want to drive this point home, because when Pete talks about this in the Tao of Fully Feeling in chapter 3, you really get a good picture of what it is that you lived through if you were raised by narcissistically abusive parents, and you really get in touch with your healthy pain and sadness and anger and confusion and rage. And when you have healthy, uninhibited access to all of your emotions, you're no longer emotionally constipated. And if you're not walking around emotionally constipated, then you don't have to worry about, forgive the term, emotional diarrhea. Okay? Emotional constipation is when you numb stuff and avoid all of your emotions, and you don't have access to them. They're not something you can experience freely. And what happens is, when you get in contact with another messy human, because you're a messy human and they're a messy human, then if they do something to trigger something that you have been numbing, stuffing, and avoiding, then all of a sudden there's emotional diarrhea. It's a complete and total mess. You overshare, and you end up feeling socially injured and humiliated, because you're not necessarily able to control your emotions in the ways that you would like to because you haven't accessed them in so long. So, this is where muscle memory comes in. This is why we are talking about ways that we can heal and experience emotional repair and development so these types of things don't happen. And if you don't experience any of this, like, that's cool. This book and this community might not be very helpful to you. This, you might not be in a place like this, might not be the family for you. But if any of this is ringing any bells for you, then you're in the right place, because we're going to talk about ways that we cannot do this as often as we do it. We need to have access to all of the full range of our emotions if we are to become a healthy human and live lives that we enjoy and not feel trapped by our CPTSD. For me, there's nothing worse than feeling trapped. Like, I can't get away from this. I can't get out of this. What's going on? Why am I being accosted and trapped by this complex PTSD? I need the right tools so that I can get access to choices. And if I just had some tools and choices and choices and tools, then I wouldn't feel so trapped, right? So I really think this was a very appropriate sort of tangent. I realize it's very tangential, going on and on and on and on about fully accessing all of our feelings. But I can't emphasize this enough, you all. Unless we are able to give ourselves permission to be in community with others who are on a similar healing path, so that we can feel safe enough in our bodies to access all of our feelings, all the anger, all the sadness, all the rage, all the disappointment. And then we can normalize this vacillating between highs and lows, ups and downs, goods and not so goods, until we can normalize this and just freely flow between all of it in ways that are non-abusive. Then we are going to remain stuck. We are likely going to remain stuck. And then we will be hypervigilant, wondering when the next emotional flashback is going to accost us and take over and attack us and cause us to behave in ways that we wish that we wouldn't. So I'm very, very, very passionate about this topic. Obviously, I could talk about it for days and days and days and weeks and months and years and, decades, like, obviously, because that's what I'm doing. I've been here with you all for over 10 years, almost 11 years, talking about healing, right? But this is the crux of the healing, allowing ourselves to grieve what we didn't have, grieve what happened, grieve what we wished we could have had, and grieve. And for those of us like myself who believed for years, even more than a decade, that grieving is pointless. Oh, what good is it going to do me to wallow? There's a difference between grieving and wallowing. Wallowing is when you sit and you stay in something and you stagnate, and grieving is literally a verb, and you're moving. It's moving through. You're moving through a full range of your emotions, the sadness, the anger, the rage. And we're learning how to flow between all of our emotions. It is only when we are able to do this that we will ever truly experience authentic connection and the feeling of being at home in our bodies and in connection with other humans, and enjoy having friendships and loved ones, and we don't feel a constant and continuous sense of dread. The only way to not experience that I have found personally is by finding a way to access every single one of my emotions. And one of the best ways to do that is in community with others who are on a similar journey. So Thank you. Thank you for being on this journey with me. Thank you for being in my life and allowing me to be in yours. We're going to continue where we left off next week, on arrested emotional development. We did talk briefly about arrested emotional development 3 weeks ago, but we're going to talk a little bit more about what, let me see, what does Pete Walker call it? He calls it, we're going to identify and deconstruct the undercurrents that often prevent us from developing real relational intimacy with ourselves and others. And there are 5 of them. And if we can deconstruct them, and the only way we can deconstruct them is to identify them. So Pete identifies them for us, and then we get to be here together to deconstruct them. So that is what we are going to do next week, on the 21st of July. And again, I'm so grateful that you're here going through this book with me, because having full access to all of our emotions is the only way that I know for us to not live in constant dread or hypervigilance or fear. And I'm just so grateful that we're not doing this alone, right? I'm so grateful that we're doing this together. So, again, this is the, this is where the rubber meets the road, you guys. This is where it gets real, right? Because not everyone is going to be on board with getting messy with all the feelings, because feelings are messy, right? But I just want you to know that I'm here for it. I'm willing. I will be present, and I will be willing to go and into the messy things with you. If you are an adult who is healing CPTSD as a result of being raised by narcissistically abusive parents, you are not alone. And if that's not you, that's okay. You're probably also not alone. But that's who we are in this community. And if you're healing CPTSD from other types of relationships that were not familial, then I am so glad you're here. I just know that this particular series that we're in the midst of it probably won't be as relevant for you. So again, I am hosting a private event for our community away from social media. I'm going to give you a link. And I had my team create a code. It's like a 50% off code or something for the first month to be in our community. So instead of it being $9.99, I think it's $5 or $4.99. I can't remember, but anyway, here is the link, and then use code Monday 50, I think is what it's called. I think it's Monday 50. I hope it's Monday 50. If it doesn't work, let me know. But anyway, I would love for you to attend. It's in 2 weeks from tomorrow. It's on July 29th. And I have a couple of special guests, one of which I know you know who they are, because they're like the number one leading person in the world on this topic, like literally, like in the entire planet. And I have another special guest as well who's facilitating, and they're both doctors, super fancy doctors, and I'm a panelist. I'm going to be on the panel of this discussion, and I look forward to seeing you there. I'm so, 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 so grateful we're talking about this. And yeah. And if you don't go there, that's okay. I'll be back here next Monday and every Monday. Okay? Right here. Next Monday and every Monday. Brave Vanessa says, who is it? They wouldn't be a very special guest if I told you who they were. There's like it's like a surprise. It's just a surprise. So, yeah. Thank you for playing along. I mean it all with the most possible love, because I'm I have fun. I have fun with the with surprising our community. It's one of my favorite things to do. It makes me very happy. Because yeah, it's really fun to surprise you all. And there's nothing that brings me more joy than connecting with our community in ways that are helpful and supportive. And if I get to surprise you along the way, then that just makes it a lot more fun for me. Honestly. Oh, John Harvey guessed it. It's Elvis with chocolate cake. How did you know? Oh my gosh, is that Ashton? What's up? What's up, family? I'm so happy to see you. Long time no see. So happy to see you. Okay, so I am going to let you all go, and I'll see you over in the community. Here's the link again. Use code Monday 50. I think, maybe it's Monday 50, one word. Sorry. Monday 50. There we go. And if I don't see you there, that's okay. I'll be right back here next Monday and every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And again, thank you for being willing to talk about the hard stuff. And thank you for being in my life, allowing me to be in yours. And I will see you soon. Please be extra kind and patient and gentle with yourselves, as always. And as Jeffrey Sherman says, because you're worth it. And I'll see you soon. Good night, everyone.